Hey there, boys and girls. As you may know, I took my 2002 Dakota and swapped in some 1 tons out of a 2005 F350. Now, I've already covered how I built the suspension around those axles, but I didn't really cover how I got the brakes to work, including the Dakota's rear ABS system. So that's what this video is about. And it all starts with a new master cylinder out of a 2002 Dodge 2500, but it's never quite that simple. So let's pop this factory one off and let's get started on swapping this thing over. To empty the master cylinder before I pull it off, I use this handy little vacuum brake bleeder. Just sucks all the fluid out of there, makes it a little less messy. That's a little different. We'll figure that out. As you can see, there are some differences here, but the important part is that the mounting holes are the same width, so this bigger Dodge 2500 master cylinder will still bolt up to our factory brake booster. And because this Dodge 2500 master cylinder is made for a vehicle that had 4-wheel disc brakes like my new brakes, this should be just what I need. We still will have to address this little guide tube that's on the front of the Dakota master cylinder, because there's a plunger that comes from the vacuum booster and it pushes into the bottom of these bores in the front of the master cylinders. So we'll have to figure out a way to make sure that the bore on the front of our Dodge 2500 master cylinder is at the same depth as our Dakota master cylinder, so that that plunger in the brake booster is pushing in the same place as it was before. So first step there is obviously to get the measurements off the front of both master cylinders.
All right. So we're looking at, well, let's slide this guy over, 2 1/8. So we know that the surface in here that's actually getting pushed on is proud of this surface. Now, the question is by how much? 2.465. So 2.465 minus 2.125, 0.340. Now, let's look at the big boy and see how close it is. Now, this one's also a little tricky because I don't have that tube to measure off of. So let's see, if we take our thickness of this is 0.08. Alright, so that came out to right about 1.025 minus the 80 thousandths for that thickness. So then that'll give us 0.945 from the pushing surface to this outside bore here. 0.625. 0.945 minus 0.625 is 0.32 inches, but that pushing surface is actually inset 0.32 inches. Alright, so the good news is the pushing surface that we need that is in this one is actually inset. The pushing surface for this one is proud of this flange, so we just need to bring this surface out. I'm tempted to just rob this out of this guy and machine it so that I can press it in there.
We could address this on the brake booster side. The plunger that's inside of there is actually threaded, as you might be able to see here. So in that case, you just make sure you measure the length of this plunger before you take it out. Find a bolt that has a matching thread that's got whatever extra length you need on it, and then just grind down the head to make it fit the way it needs to fit inside of the master cylinder. Super easy solution, just not what I chose to do. Mainly because I have access to a lathe and I can machine parts to make this work a lot quicker and easier than trying to cobble together hardware. So I'm going to do a little bit of machining, and I'll transplant the front of this Dakota master cylinder onto the front of the Ram 2500 master cylinder.
Okay, it's starting. There we go. Oh boy. Alright, so there's the business end of what we need. Let's see, these are just seals and stuff. So that's what we want, is just that tube right there. Looks like that's just held in by a screw there. Woo! That's kind of pretty. Alright, so those are the two pieces we are concerned with.
Now, unfortunately, I lost the footage of me actually machining these parts, but as you can see here, we have the guide tube as it came out of the Dakota master cylinder. Then we also have this front piston section of the 2500 master cylinder. I drilled out the front of the piston and then just machined a matching little shoulder into this guide tube so that they would be a press fit together. And now the bottom of this bore is in the same spot as it was on the stock Dakota master cylinder, so we should be good to reinstall this thing. But there's one more little thing I want to do, and that is to swap this 2500 reservoir for the stock Dakota reservoir. So I'm going to get this swapped over, and then after that I'll explain why I want to do this.
Ooh, it looks like it's gonna go. Oh yeah. Perfect. Beautiful. There you go.
Now, if you're not fortunate enough to have a compatible master cylinder like I do with this project, you're either going to want to go with a Willwood or some kind of universal brake master cylinder, or you can swap out the entire master cylinder and brake booster from a different vehicle. There are other ways to solve this problem, so if you've got any ideas or you've done something in the past, let us know in the comments so that we can help each other out and all build cool stuff. With everything reassembled, it should be pretty obvious why I needed to swap that reservoir over. Not only do I have the hose for the remote reservoirs on my coilovers around the back of that brake fluid reservoir, but I also rerouted my entire fuse panel from up against the driver's side fender inboard over the brake booster. So all that real estate behind the brake fluid reservoir was pretty valuable. But with that master cylinder swapped around, the rest of the system was actually pretty simple. It goes from the master cylinder down to this brake proportioning valve. I just bought it off Amazon. It's for disc brakes. I'll link it in the description as well. From that proportioning valve, we just have a hard brake line going to our connection down to the front brake lines. And because we have so much travel in our front suspension, I actually have a hard line mounted to the track bar, and then at each track bar joint, I have a soft brake line, which allows the brake system to articulate with the track bar and the axle so that I don't have to worry about having enough travel in my brake lines to make up for the amount of travel I have in the suspension system. And from the proportioning valve to the back, we first go into our stock ABS module so that that's a standard replacement part, and then it carries on down the line to the rear brakes. The brake lines on the rear axle are relatively simple. It's just using the factory soft line that goes from the frame down to the axle, and then the factory hard line on the rear axle itself. But the really interesting part back here is that I was able to just plug in the factory rear ABS sensor from the Dakota into the bore on this 05 Sterling 10.5-inch axle. Just stock Dakota ABS sensor and stock tone ring from a 2005 Super Duty. The only modification I had to do for the entire ABS system was to cut off one of these cast-in ears because the plug on the factory forward sensor points forward and the Dakota's points to the passenger side. Now that covers the hydraulics and the electronics of our brake system, but there's still one more piece of the puzzle, and that is the mechanical braking system, which is your emergency brake. Now coming from the cab of the Dakota is the stock emergency brake cable, as you can see here, and then we have the stock emergency brake cables coming up from our Super Duty axles. So the only challenge here really was to just get the two cable systems to connect to each other. So I went to the local hardware store, and I picked up this thimble for wire rope and a couple of U-bolt clips. That gave me a loop at the end of my Dakota's cable to pull from. On the axle side, I reused this clip, which is at the end of the Super Duty cables, and fastened to that a 1/4-20 coupling nut using a 1/4-20 Allen head bolt. I did have to reduce the diameter of that bolt head to fit in the clip really snug, which was not a big deal. Threw it in the drill and held it up against my sander for a while until I got it to fit tight. And then on the other side of that coupling nut, I just used an eye bolt through that thimble that I made in the Dakota cable. It's obviously not the fanciest way of doing it, but it got the job done. It was cheap, and it's been holding strong for 3 or 4 years now. So, problem solved. And there you have it, 1-ton brakes on a 2002 Dakota. But I can't end this video without showing you how these brakes work. Let's do a little brake check. Everybody ready? Brake check! They work. Okay, attempt number 2. Brake check! Wow. I know this episode was very specific to my Dakota, my axles, my master cylinder and all that, but hopefully it gives you guys a little bit of guidance for trying to figure out how to solve these problems on whatever you're building. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.